Welcome back everyone, and we're only left to do one more thing before our backdoor project is over. So the last option that we're left to do is the persistence with the target machine. We want to make sure that we can connect to the target machine whenever it is on. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the persistence option that will allow us to create the registry key and let our backdoor run every time that the target restarts their machine. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Let's add an else if option, just as we did with everything else. So the else if option will be equal to persistence, so else if command equals to persistence. Then we're going to ask for the user of this program to input the registry key name and the name for the file that we're going to copy our backdoor in. Now, if you're confused as to what I mean, let me just show you. So we are going to add right here reg underscore name, comma, copy underscore name is going to be equal to the command, and then we're going to strip off first 12 characters, which will be the persistence and then the empty space, and I'm going to split them with an empty space. Alright? Now, right here in the else if statement, we need to add first 11 characters. So if the first 11 characters are equal to persistence, then we are going to proceed with these two commands. We're going to store the reg name as the first part of the rest of the command and the copy name as the name of the file that we're creating and copying our backdoor in. And then with the copy of our backdoor that we're going to create, we're going to use the reg name in order to create the persistence and registry key onto that copy. So even in case the target deletes our backdoor, we're still going to be able to connect to their machine. Okay? All we're left to do right now in the else if statement is to call the persist function that we're about to code right now and put in these two arguments, which are the reg name and the copy name. Alright? So now let's go all the way up, and above the target communication we're going to define the persist function. It will take reg name and copy name. First, we need to create a location or the path to where we want to create our copy of backdoor. Now that path can be the same as we used in our keylogger, which is the app data. That is a hidden directory, and most likely the target will never find that file. So let's create file underscore path, or more better, file underscore location equals os.environ. We're searching for app data. This is all already familiar to us, so nothing really to explain here. And then we will add the two slashes, which indicate that we're in the Windows, and then concat the copy name, which is the name of the file that we are creating and copying our backdoor in. Alright, now what we want to do is we want to check whether that file already exists, because if we run this 2 times, we don't really want to create the registry key twice, we only want to do it 1 time, so we're going to check whether this file already exists. If it already exists, that means that the persistence command has already been ran. So how can we do that? Well, we can use an actual library that exists in Python, which is called shuttle library. So we will import it right here, import shuttle. It is a standard library, no need to install it. And right here in the try statement, we can say if not os.path.exists, which will check for this file location, whether it exists or not. In case it doesn't exist, we want to copy this executable or this backdoor into that file location. And we will copy it using the shuttle library. So shuttle.copy file. The first argument is what we're copying. In our case, we're copying our own executable, which we can specify by sys.executable. And to use sys.executable, we need to import sys. So let's go and import it right here. And the second parameter is where we are copying it. In our case, we're copying it inside of the file location. Then we need to call the command, which will add registry key for this file location. And how we can do that? Well, we can do that with the help of the subprocess library. So we'll call subprocess subprocess.call. Subprocess.call. And I just now noticed that we're actually coding this inside of a server, so make sure that you do not make the same mistake as I do. So I'm just going to copy all of this and paste it into our backdoor. Right here above the shell function, we can paste the persist function, and also make sure you delete it from here. And also make sure you copy the part with the else if statement. So first of all, copy, then we can delete it from here. As we don't need it in our server, we only need it inside of our backdoor. Go all the way down, find the last else if statement, and then copy right here. Let's make everything tabbed in properly. And for some reason we got this printed twice, so I'm just going to delete the last one. And now we should be good to go. We got the else if statement, and we also got the function right here. But we don't have these two libraries since we imported them inside of our server, where we can remove them. And we can move them straight into our backdoor. Okay, so now we got everything ready. We fixed our mistake and we're ready to continue with the persist function. We stopped at the calling of the command, which will add the registry key for this file location. So let us type it right here. The first parameter will be the command itself, which will be registry add HKCU, since this is the part of registry where we want to add our backdoor, / software / Microsoft / Windows / current version and / run. Then we want to add space /v space and the single quote. After it we want to concat the reg_name, which is the parameter to our function that we will specify with our command from the server, and a few more options. So let's add and open single quotes, and in between the single quotes we specify space /t space reg_sz, all in capital letters, and space /d. Then specify space, then space, double quotes, exit the single quotes, and add plus file location plus open single quotes, and in those single quotes we specify double quotes. Okay, so this should be the entire command. Now if you also run this command inside of your command prompt, it will perform the exact same thing by adding the registry for the specified program. Now I know that the command is rather long, but we had to write it down. And what we forgot to do is add a second parameter to this call function, which is the shell equals true. So make sure you go all the way back, and at the end of this single quote add comma and add shell equals true. Once we do that, we want to reliable send to our server that we successfully created persistence. So let's add it like this and type created persistence with reg key, and then let's concat the reg_name variable. And that was the part of the if not statement. That is in case that this file location does not exist. In case it does exist, we want to specify in the else statement reliable send, and we want to prompt to the user of the server that persistence already exists. So we'll specify persistence already exists. And in the last statement, in the except part, we want to reliable send. In case none of these works, we want to reliable send error creating persistence with the target machine. Okay, so this should all be good. In case we didn't create some syntax error or something else, this should all work. So let's give it a try. We need to import our USB drive. I will copy the programs real fast, so we don't waste time transferring these files. Okay, so here are the two files. I copied them both. Don't forget the keylogger, otherwise the compilation will not work. And now let's compile the backdoor. But before I do that, I need to delete the previous directories that we used in the compilation and compile it once again. Let's also start our server inside of our PyCharm. Open the terminal, Python 3, server.py. Let's open the registry so we can see whether this will work correctly. It will ask you for the administrative privileges. In case you have a password, you will input it right here and click on yes. Here is the place where we are going to create our registry. It is in the hkey current user, /software, /Microsoft, Windows, current version, and in the run directory. Once we specify the command for the persistence, hopefully right here, the registry key will be created for the copied backdoor that will be located inside of the appdata/roaming folder, which we already know how to access if we go in our command prompt and change directory to c/user/ the name of your account and then cd appdata and cd roaming. If I type there, here is where our copied backdoor should be located. So let's give it a try. We need to run our backdoor, which hopefully compiles successfully. Run it right here. We get no errors, so let's go to Kali Linux, wait for the incoming connection. Here it is. Let's run some random commands, make sure that everything works, and if I type persistence, go to our help command to see what is the syntax for this persistence command. So we need to specify first the registry name. Let's call it hacked with capital H, and then space, and then the file name that we want to copy the backdoor in. Let's call it taskmanager.exe. Click on enter, and it will tell us that the persistence already exists. Weird. If I refresh this, something doesn't seem to work. Let's take a look at the backdoor and see where the problem is inside of the persistence command. Not really sure why we get this. Let's try it again. Persistence, hacked. Let's call it test.exe. It tells us that the persistence already exists. Okay, so there is definitely some error inside of our code because we cannot see the file and the persistence is not there inside of our registry. So let's see what's wrong with the program. Okay, so this is probably the error. Right here, instead of the command and then first 12 characters, we want to specify from the 12 characters till the end. Now I will do the process of compilation all over by myself and I will get back to you with the newly compiled file. Okay, so here we are. Inside of our this directory, I have the newly compiled backdoor with the fixed error. And now if I run my server inside of my PyCharm, let's go and run it. So Python 3 server.py, and then I go and run my backdoor. No error has occurred. Let's go back to Kali Linux, run some random command to make sure everything works, and then run the persistence. So persistence, hacked, and then test.exe. Press enter, and it will tell us created persistence with registry key hacked. If we go to registry and refresh using the F5 button, we will see that there is a hacked registry key that is newly added with the path to this file right here, which is stored inside of the appdata/roaming. It is called test.exe, and this is the copy of our backdoor. Okay, if we go to command prompt and type there once again to the roaming directory, we will see the test.exe file or our backdoor successfully copied and hidden inside of this directory. Okay, so our persistence successfully works. Now, even if the target, for example, closes this program and deletes this backdoor, they will still run the backdoor, which is hidden inside of the appdata, next time they restart their PC. and it will happen every time they restart until that file is deleted from their appdata/roaming folder. So that means we will have the access forever to that target machine. And with this, we finish with the last option for our backdoor, and in the next 2 lectures I will give you 2 bonus videos, one in which we will add another option to this backdoor, a rather short one, and the last video or the second video from now, in that video I will show you how you can make your backdoor look like an image as well as open an image. Okay, so thank you for watching this lecture, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!